Hey y'all, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not sure how long this video is gonna be. I've had a rough week. I think a lot of us have. Mentally, I'm doing fine. It's just some personal stuff going on in my life as well as, and I'm trying to film to distract myself from crying because it's been, like I said, a rough week. I just don't know how much of this I actually even want to do right now. I was trying to tell myself I'm allowed to take time off, I'm allowed to do this, I'm allowed to do that, but I also feel like at the same time, not everyone has that luxury, and I need to remember that. Sometimes you just gotta force yourself to work, and here I am. But I'm back, and I have some more creepy stories for you guys. This is a compilation of solo traveler creepy stories, people who have traveled to different countries by themselves and have had weird or terrifying encounters. Some of these might be funny, some of them might be scary. We'll see. Solo travelers, what is your creepiest travel story? I was staying in a B&B in Donegal, Ireland, where every room on the floor shared a bathroom. I went in one morning to pee and there was a man with his pants around his ankles asleep in the bathtub. The soap dish and the towel rack were all torn off the wall, and it appeared he had fallen over while relieving himself and fallen into the tub. While struggling to get out with his pants down, he had torn things from the wall. He then proceeded to pass out. I woke the man up and helped him out of the tub, after which he proceeded to hug me and declare me his hero. And this is how I ended up embraced by a drunken Irishman with his pants around his ankles. No, oh my god, that's awful. Traveling in Asia at the time, I got a tuk-tuk to go to the center of a village with a young driver. We started driving and he turned around while telling me he wouldn't take me to the center of the village because he knew a better spot in the jungle, a place he and his friends loved. I told him no, I want to go to the center of the village and that's it. He got angry and sped up while I was considering my chances of just jumping out. But then he also grabbed my arm in a tight grip, so I knew for sure no good would come from the situation. Luckily for me, I had an umbrella with me and my free hand, and I started slamming him with it as hard as I could until he stopped the vehicle and offered to take me to the center of the village. LOL. No, I ended up walking 3 hours to the village. I had planned one more day there and was constantly confronted by people that I was the girl who attacked the tuk-tuk driver offering me rides. Pretty sure they were his friends. I strictly stayed in busy areas until I was able to take a train out. Fuck that. For me, it was when I was driving from Georgia to California to visit a friend. I didn't want to fly because I wanted to sightsee on the way. When I got to San Diego, the hotel I booked on Expedia screamed, "Run," from the get-go. But I was exhausted and wanted to rest, got my room key and checked in. I locked the door, and because I'm always on guard, I locked the bar on the door for extra safety. About 4 a.m., I was sleeping and heard someone trying to come into my room. They had opened the door but couldn't get past the little bar that was locked. I quickly got up, threw on clothes, and went to the door to see what was going on. 2 guys outside the door with their hand in the slit of the door yelling at me. They kept saying, "Come here, pretty girl, oh pretty face," or something like that. I called the front desk to see what was going on and they said, "Oh, we didn't know you were still here." I was beyond furious and went to the front desk with all of my stuff. The lady at the desk said I didn't have a reservation even though I had my paper saying I checked in, my car decal stickers for parking there, and the room key. She said she rented the room out that I was in for the next month. Flabbergasted, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She looked up my information and said, "Oh, I see. You didn't book with us, but Expedia. We don't partner with them." Still confused as to why I was given a room, paid for it, and then had issues being in it, she refused to call a manager at 5 a.m. by this point. I waited till they got in at 9 a.m., demanded a refund, got it, and checked out. No matter how terrifying the ordeal seemed, I think it would have ended differently had I not locked the bar on the door. No, because I'm so sorry. Them being like, "Oh, well, we just rented it to someone else," but they're trying to get in being like, "Come here, pretty girl." I'm so sorry. That's insane. I've honestly no other words for that. Those people are predators. There's no other way to say it. Had some guy try to haul me off my first day in Berlin. He stopped to ask me a question when I was in, I don't know how to say this, Tiergarten, and proceeded to grab me by my wrist and refused to let me go. I had told him I was going to Alexanderplatz and he started dragging me out of the park, telling me he would show me a shortcut that he insisted would only take 5 minutes to get there. For those of you that have ever been, it's at least a 30-minute walk. I was so panicked. I didn't know what to do and couldn't even scream. All I could think was that he was going to take me somewhere that nobody would be able to find me. I had a friend who I was staying with in the city text me at the right time and managed to beg off and say she was waiting for me at Bradenberger tour station, which was the opposite direction. He only let me go if I open mouth, kissed him goodbye, and gave me my number. What the fuck? Which he made me call him so he was sure he had the right one. He was pulling towards the Holocaust Memorial, so after he let go, I rushed to it and hid so he wouldn't follow me. Funnily enough, that night was the first day of the 2014 World Cup. I was still really shaken, but still wanted to watch the game. I also wanted to go somewhere where I could talk to people in English because I was very fucking dealing with Germans at that point. I ended up at an Irish bar, and the Irish bartender is now my husband, and we live in Berlin. Rumble's messing with my tripod. That's okay. I mean, at least something good came out. Rumble, stop. At least something good came out of it, but I don't know. I spent a week in Dusseldorf traveling around and never encountered anything creepy. Get to the airport for my flight home and started getting followed by a border control man. He ends up swapping with another person for the security part, meaning I had to go through his security bit. The whole time he's asking me personal things like, do you like Turkish men? Would you like to go to dinner with a Turkish man? Where are you from? How many Turkish men are near you? I know loads in Scotland. I'm assuming the man was Turkish after this questioning. I ended up having to get patted down and he made sure to watch. By this point it was beyond uncomfortable. Once I finished, he continued to follow me. I start walking faster to get away from him. Have lunch with me, he starts shouting down the airport. I jumped straight on my phone and called my dad and hid behind a shelf in duty free, I'm not sure what that is, till I saw him walk past trying to find me. Stayed hidden in the toilet till my flight was boarding. I can't, like somebody who's supposed to be like protecting everyone at the airport, like whatever is like, the issue. My mom, over 40 years ago, went backpacking around Europe. At the end of her trip, she ended up in Germany with no money left and only a plane ticket to get home, but the plane was from Paris to Canada, so she had to find a way to get to Paris. She hitchhiked her way towards the German border with people who were high, and once they dropped her off, she immediately found someone else who was willing to take her beyond the border, but within 10 minutes, she noticed he was taking her away from the highway and taking small roads, and she got scared. Since she didn't want to inform him that she knew something was up, she just kept talking about her trips and added some not so pleasant details, talking about how she had recently caught an STD that gave her a really painful and disgusting boil on her genitals. They were quickly back on the highway and he dropped her off 50 meters away from the border before vanishing. 2 days later, she landed in Canada safely and STD free. She didn't tell me any of this until I was well into my 20s. I love your mom. I love her. That's amazing. And I'm gonna use that if I'm ever in danger. I was walking through Paris looking for the closest metro station to get back to my hotel. I was trying not to look lost, but I was very lost. There was this intersection shaped like the hub of a wheel, and I knew the metro was on one of the streets radiating from it, so I started going down the streets one by one. As I went down one particularly deserted street, I passed 2 men sitting in a doorway. In French, one muttered to the other, "A woman," and they both got up to follow me. Luckily, I could see the train a block ahead, so I checked my imaginary watch and started running. I made it before the train left. I don't know how far the men followed me, but there was hardly anyone at the station, so I'm glad the train was there. That gives me the worst feeling ever, like them being like, "A woman," like, fuck you. I was backpacking my way through Asia in the early 2000s and spent quite a bit of time in Hong Kong. Hong Kong Island is pretty hilly, to say the least. I found myself near a fancy hotel near Central/Admiralty. Sorry if I'm saying any of this wrong. Can't remember which hotel exactly. And that was on a higher plane than where I wanted to go and didn't see an easy way to get down. Spotted an entrance to a set of stairs that I thought could exit to the street below. These weren't outdoor stairs, they led underground. In retrospect, probably the fire exit for the hotel. The door was unlocked and I just went in. Each floor had a door that I assumed led into the hotel or would exit to the street. I found each one was locked. I probably should have left as soon as I saw the first door was locked, but I was young and dumb and thought eventually there'd be a door that exited to the street. Kept going down this extremely dark stairwell, trying to open each door. When I finally reached the bottom, I noticed a bunch of shapes in the darkness, mostly rags and boxes. Then I noticed movement. There were maybe 5 to 6 men down there, all sprawled out, not talking or anything, but they noticed me and at least one of them was staring at me. The whites of his eyes reflected what little bit of light was down there. They were definitely high. I can only assume I had just barged my way into some sort of heroin den. I just sort of stood there looking at them and they were looking at me. No one says anything. I slowly back up out of their sight and rushed all the way back up, maybe 5 floors or so. Maybe it's not too creepy compared to other stories, but I was definitely freaked out for a while. It was totally dark and no one knew I was down there. Of course, maybe they were equally as freaked out that somebody had barged into their secret spot, but no, I would also be terrified because I'm not even gonna say it. Walking through a shady part in Colombia, I was drunk around 3 in the morning. Needless to say, I should not have been there being all white and touristy and shit, a clear target. This massive man puts his hood on as I'm walking past him and starts following me for a block or 2. I'm nervous and my pace is getting quicker with every step, and out of nowhere, this taxi toots its horn at me and signals me to get in. Thank God. He points at the guy behind me and says, "Bad man." This awesome taxi driver drives me to the main entrance in populated area and lets me out free of charge. That's amazing. Oh, it's so terrifying. I hate these stories. Like, I'm never traveling. I'm never doing it. While I was in Puerto Viejo, Costa Rica, a man in his early 50s was stabbed and killed for his backpack containing photography equipment. I am a man in my early 50s, and at the time, I was traveling with a backpack containing photography equipment. I can't. And if I'm being completely honest, I think that's all I'm gonna read for now. These are not helping. These are not helping my mood. I'm like terrified right now. These are awful. And honestly, there's a lot of really sad stories in here that I haven't read, obviously. So don't know if I'll revisit this one. And like I said, this video is gonna be short. Don't care. Sorry. But I guess if you have any weird, scary travel stories that you want to share with me or the community, I'll have my subreddit link down below. I know I said I was gonna show you my Christmas decor this week, but I'm just not in the mood, if I'm being completely honest. So I will show you next week when hopefully things are better. See. I want to emphasize again that mentally I'm doing fine. It has nothing to do with my meds, just personal stuff. But just kind of a reminder too that like you're still capable of feeling things even if like mentally you're doing okay or like you're on meds and blah blah blah. Like you should be able to feel your emotions, and I am. But other than that, I love you guys so much. I will see you in the next one. Bye.